Hey guys, welcome to the FitTown show. I'm Coach Andrew with Coach Tony and Coach Austin today. We got a third wheel on here today. You like being called the third wheel, right?
Love it.
So today's topic, we're going to be talking about why general health is BS, okay? And we're going to go through that topic. Basically, the reason we think it's BS is because everyone has a different definition for general health. So we wanted to define general health and then talk about how in the gym we see people that have a general health goal that are sort of violating their goal with their actions. And Austin actually recently put up a poll on our Facebook community group where he asked people what is the reason you work out, and general health was one of the choices, aesthetics was one of the choices, performance was one of the choices, and I think exactly 100 people voted. It's like Family Feud, right?
Yeah.
Of 100 people that voted, 45 of them said that their goal was general health. And the next closest was aesthetics, I believe, at 14, okay? So it was more than triple the next closest one. And then stress reduction was right there. Performance was a little bit behind that. So let's kick it off. Like, what do you guys think general health? What is it to you, and what do you think it is to our clients?
Yeah, to me, it is obviously very general, but the way I would define it is basically anything in your life you are capable of doing. So whether that be like being completely clear mentally, and then physically you're able to do anything that life throws at you, like to me, that's general. So there's no injuries going on, there's no underlying diseases going on. You are just generally healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also kind of means like the quality of your life, right? So like, to me, I think general health can be like, there's always a second layer to it. Like everyone has like a kind of like a role in their life that they want to play, that they want to be better at, to generally be better at. It's like, so for me, it's like being a parent. Like I want to be a healthy parent that just like lives as long as my kids do, and like is able to live with them and like live a quality life with them and do everything with them. Like that's like general to me as a parent.
Yeah, I think when a lot of our members answered it, I think the reason they picked general health is because they have multiple things that they're attacking, and they couldn't really list one as the priority. So they said, okay, I'm here for general health. And I lean really, well, actually, when I hear the word general health, I think quantity of life. I actually think like, oh, I'm going to live a long time and be like generally healthy for a long time. But I think what I'm chasing, what most of our members are chasing, is what you said, Tony, which is quality of life. They want high energy, high mental clarity. They want to be able to never say no to anything, whether that's something with their kids, whether that's a sports league, whether that is like learning to surf or something like that, because we're on the water here a lot. And they want to be able to always say yes to that thing. And that's really more of a quality of life thing than it is like quantity of life, although that's a big aspect of it too.
Yeah, mobility of life. Like everyone's mobility is kind of restrained as like people don't travel as much, but that's a big thing, is like being able to like travel for as long as you want, for as long as your life like lets you.
Mm-hmm. Some of the other things that I think fit into this quality of life, actually Lindsay hopped on there and she said it's very like metric based. She's a doctor, so she's like, high blood pressure, is that, is your blood pressure good or is it not? Is your A1C good or is it not? Do you have any underlying diseases like obesity or cancer or things like that? That's a huge aspect of it, because that could really strip your health away at any given moment. Another thing that I think with just seeing how people do the workouts and interact with our workouts in here is that people wouldn't do this if it didn't have an immediate positive impact on their life. So I think that, yes, you could look at general health as this thing that's going to help you 10 years from now, but I think most of the people come here because they're going to get a better day that day because they worked out, or a better day tomorrow because they worked out today.
Yeah, and you said it before, like you saw general health as like living into your 90s, like living that longevity, and I think a lot of people are more short-sighted than that. A lot of people are like, generally, I'm a good person after I work out. Generally, I'm not a good person when I don't get my workout in.
Yeah. The comments had a lot of that like stress relief component, and we hear that all the time from spouses of people that come here, that the spouse often sends them into the gym to get that stress relief because, like you said, they're a different person without it. But I wanted to, now that we've kind of laid that framework And it could mean something different to you. We just want to give you some ideas. But now that we've kind of laid that framework, we want to talk about where we see things in the gym that violate someone's goal of general health. So they want to live a life where they don't have disease. They want to live a life where they're not in pain or they're not injured. They want to live a life where they can say yes to anything outside the gym, but then they do stuff in the gym that might potentially take away from that. So where do you guys see that happening the most, where someone might do something in here with this goal of general health, but then you're like, wait, that doesn't line up with the goal you just said you had?
I think we see it a lot. I think one of the easiest ways to say it for me is, I think Tony used this in a different way, but it's a short-sighted decision. So we said like the goal is to create a quantity of life. Like you want to live as long as possible. You want to be able to get off the floor as long as possible. You want to be able to take care of yourself as long as possible. But then on a daily basis, you'll make decisions that could potentially hinder that. You're having a issue with your shoulder, and instead of modifying the movement or even just taking the movement off that day, you still push regardless, which will then compound that potential injury or then create an injury, and then you're out months. I think those are just very common, just because you feel like the need to do the workout is written, the need to keep up with your buddy, like the need to just compete almost for really no prize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, I see it in like the volume of workouts. So like people might, work out 7 days a week and say, yeah, I do this so I can play with my kids. And the kids are just sitting alone on a Sunday and they're like, hey, play with me. And they're like, no, I'm going to the gym. And I think that ultimately just contradicts what you said was your health goal in the first place.
Right, being so smashed that you're just like useless outside the gym, basically. Yeah, or not taking those rest days, those active recovery days, like.
Could be waking up early for an early workout. To get to a 5 a.m. workout, you're up at like maybe 4. By the time like 3 o'clock rolls around and your kids want to play, you might be pretty spent. So like think about those things too, like, and maybe take some off days, planned off days, so you do have that energy later in the day to do the things that you say you want to do. Yeah,
and it's tough because like again, most people that I see come here, they feel better that day, and they're almost like. I think we have a community that doesn't do this to a crazy degree, but they almost chase this workout high, and then that reduces stress and that improves the quality of life of that day. But if you keep doing that every single day and you do it to too much of a degree, then over time that takes away from tomorrow's quality of life, because your body's not recovered, you're beat up, you might be in pain, you might be injured, or your just nervous system is fried and you don't really have the energy, and you sort of need that next workout hit to make it happen again.
I mean, I want to commend Austin and Andrew too. These guys are like the heads of the programming, so like I think you guys take a very good approach to general health. Like I think you guys take a great approach to making sure people are like balanced in their life, balanced in their fitness, and they're not like, doing something too crazy that might set them off that path of general health that they might be striving for.
And that's something that I spend a lot of time thinking about, is what role does competition have in a general health approach? Because I think it does have a role in it. Like you see, whether it's us, the way we approach our workouts, there's a level of competition, whether that be with other people or yourself, because it's measurable, it's trackable, it's repeatable. The workouts have this like gamified aspect to it. Orange Theory is another example where they have, their heart rate monitors, and you get points for getting into a certain zone. And I think that can take someone who would otherwise be on the couch and motivate them to do something which is good for their general health. So we're constantly, like when we program, like walking this tightrope of how can we get enough of this competitive juices going without making it about that, where we get distracted from the real goal.
Yeah, I see that. Before I go any further, I kind of want to say, like, before we start harping on people doing too much, I want to say that you guys are like the 1% of people who are doing anything in the first place, and there's 99% of people who are just sitting on their couch doing nothing. And I think that's pretty important to hit on. As I've been talking with people, it's like you're right. Like you are doing more than most people are doing, but then how do we like dial that in to actually make it a positive impact on your life? And I think what you were hitting on is kind of like the sciencey aspect of it is when we work out, we are literally just adding more stress onto the body. Mm-hmm. So if you are one of those people who are doing it 7 times a week for 2 hours a day or whatever, like, and you already have a huge amount of stress in your life, like you could potentially be degrading yourself by compounding that stress. So yeah, I just want to say good job to you guys that are doing it. But then as we get into the talks, you'll kind of understand, like, for what we're looking at it from a standpoint of, like, you could be actually taking a step back in your fitness by just overdoing it on some things.
I think also comparatively, when you compare our gym to other gyms, I think our membership base does a really good job of using tools like crossover symmetry and foam rollers and time before and after class to up that quality of life, up the quality of their workouts. You know, whereas when you go to another gym, you see that it's just the competitors doing those things. It's like, oh, that person's competing, so they must be doing some extra work. When it's our moms, it's our dads, it's our grandparents in here that are like doing this extra work. And I'd like to think, like, people walk in here and like they're like, wow, like those people put in extra work. Why? You know, and it's like, this is why. Like, because general health, like.
Yeah. I think stress also comes in with performance, of stressing about your performance, right? You might not be coming in, maybe you have a balanced routine, you come in 4 to 5 days a week, but you're stressing about your performance of, am I going to do well today? Am I going to finish under the cap? Am I going to beat the person next to me? And that stress is like, okay, if you can remember why you're doing it, I am a general health person. Why am I putting so much stress into this? Yes, we all want to perform well. Yes, we want to give our best effort. But if we're stressing about, you know, beating an old time or beating someone, how does that really fit into the grand scheme of it? And then also too, I think if you're worried about beating someone versus excited about seeing that person next to you do well, that's a big element that you want to pay attention to. If you're paying attention to leaderboard to see what others did well and build others up, then that's going to just come back to you in a positive way. If you're looking about, oh, well, how did this person do this, and you know, why can't I ever beat this person? Like, that's just adding more stress to your life. It's not helping.
One of my favorite things when people, like, when I know they're trying to be competitive with it, they'll ask me, like, how many rounds are people getting on this workout? I'm like, as many as they can do. Like, just as many as they can do in the AMRAP. That's all I know. Like, as many as you can do is, like, perfect for the day. And it's funny that we're on this topic today, because this is the time of year that gets the funniest as, like, someone who programs workouts. And it's like the CrossFit Games just ended, and this is the time where everyone all of a sudden switches these gears to, like, I am now a CrossFit Games athlete. I'm like, okay, well, first off, 1 hour a day is not going to cut it. Not only 1, 2 is not going to cut it. Like, if you want to be that, it's going to be like 6 to 7 hours, and you might want to quit your job. So
you might also want to be 18 again as well.
18, get rid of the kids, you know, whatever you have holding you back in life, like, time to cut ties there. But yeah, we get this, like, very, like, competitive juice flowing, and like you said, like, I think it can be a very big positive. Like we program benchmarks and repeat workouts once a week. Like, that gives you for sure one day where you're competing against yourself, or at least that's how I take it. Every other day, like, if I know I'm not going to have to do this again in the future, it's like, am I moving the best I can, and do I feel good when I leave? Great. Cool, I checked the mark for today, and then I know, like, on Wednesday, I'm going to give them a little bit more effort here because I've done this before. We have repeatable data, and I can see if I'm actually improving or not. So yeah, that's kind of how I look at my workouts. Like, I just want to move really good, feel really good, because I know what it feels like to not feel that way. And then when I have those days where I can be competitive, and to me, competitive is just like, can I do better than I did the last time? Like, cool, I'll do it. Yeah,
movement quality is really big aspect of it, where in any given workout, we're going to sacrifice some level of movement quality as we get tired, whether that's 1%, 10%, 50%. Some level is going to be sacrificed whether we know it or not. And the amount we're willing to sacrifice is definitely something we want to pay attention to if our goals are not to be the best athlete in the world. If we want to have general health, we should be focused on movement quality. We had toes to bar today. That could look like, okay, am I going to drop to singles on my toes to bar and try to fight my way through it and lose my kip, or am I going to do 3 to 5 at a time, take a little extra rest so the quality of my movement can stay up, and I can work on this skill and work on, there's a million number of things that you could work on that are unrelated to the final score. I've had a lot of back issues I've dealt with for years now I'm constantly working on bracing. I've ditched the belt. I haven't put one on in months now, and like I'm always working on that, even though the weights might not be as high. So there's many different things to work on in a general health perspective that are outside of the final score.
Yeah, quality definitely changes as you get older. Like, the margin, it's like 50% when I was 18. Now I can't do 50%
right.
now.
Well, because
you're
going to get punished with an injury.
Exactly. So it's like maybe 5% movement, margin of error in the movement, quality of movement.
And it's not an easy decision to do what you're saying, like, because we are competitive people. We all came from sports. Like we know what that feels like, and it's not an easy decision every day to be like, all right, this is for me to be better. Like today I saw the workout. I mean, I wrote the workout. I knew it was super fun. I was super excited. I'm like, maybe I'll grab the lifters, the weight belt, and the knee sleeves, and I'm like, that's so stupid. Like, why? For what reason? I'm fine without weight belts, sleeves. Like, I can lift plenty of weight, like, with just me. I'm like, I'll just do this workout like everyone else. And but I still battle with those things. I'm just able to kind of see, like, when I was weightlifting and that's all I was doing, like, how terrible my body felt. Like, I never want to go back to that point. And now, like, honestly, I just want to be healthy. Like, I just want to look better. And I have a kid now, so it's like those are my priorities of like how I'm going to attack every single workout. I'm not saying I don't battle with these decisions that you guys battle with every single day.
Yeah, I think athletes are some of the best people at it, in the sense that, like, if you looked at like a week of baseball practice for us growing up, we only really got to compete for like 1/10 of that week. Like, we would go to a 3-hour practice and you could really look at an entire 3-hour practice and nothing really in there was competition. And I think that some people that are at CrossFit or functional fitness is their sport for the first time, they don't really realize what ratio of things should look like practicing and training something versus competing at something. And you don't get better by competing and trying to crush yourself. You get better with being at that 70, 80, 90% intensity level where you're working on something small and trying to improve something. And then when you get a chance to compete, then you get to see it all come together and really hit a level that you've never done before.
That's such a good point. Seasons as well, like as in the course of like a year, like it's not just go, 12 months out of the year. Like even the CrossFit Games, it just ended. Those guys are going to take a break. Like Matt Frazier, I heard him say it. He's like going to take a couple of weeks off. Like, so even the fittest in the world takes some time off. So you got to have these like seasons where you're like top of your game, and then you just kind of pull it back a little bit. It's not just go all year long.
Yeah, the last place I think I'd like to see people remember that they're general health people is sacrificing the stuff outside the gym, whether it be sleep or nutrition or things like that. And obviously we know we have a lot of members, our early mornings are packed in here. They have kids at home, they have crazy busy jobs, there's not a lot of time in there. But I think what we've learned in nutrition challenges is that everyone could find a place to get more sleep. And usually it happens in that nighttime routine because the morning's kind of set to the way it's going to be. So that's a big one where if you're constantly 6 hours or less of sleep, but you say you're a general health person, something's not really lining up there.
And I think you can make sacrifices here and there that suit your lifestyle better. You just have to be very self-aware about what also you're going to have to sacrifice by taking that. So my example, and I had a really good conversation the other day with someone, is they called themselves like a weekend warrior. Like, I'm literally a weekend warrior. Like, I go out, I drink like Saturday, Sunday, I come back and I just try to crush the workout. And I'm like, okay. And then you're mad that your performance is not as good as you want it to be. Like, that makes literally zero sense. I was like, if you want to have fun on Saturday and Sunday and then work hard Monday through Friday, like, that's up to you. But you have to understand that that's going to come with less performance. Like, you didn't sleep very good, you had alcohol, which doesn't help anything, and then you come in here and you're mad that you don't PR your whatever it may be. Like, what did you expect? There's only so much like a program could do to make you so much better that all of those things you just threw out the window are going to now turn around and help you. And the reason it was brought up anyway was was a lift, and it was the 3-rep deadlift day or 5-rep deadlift, whatever we ended up doing, which brought in a whole nother conversation. Something I'd like to hear you guys kind of talk about too is like, how strong do you need to be for general health? I asked that question as well after I got the poll results. I asked, like, how strong is strong enough? Like, how strong do I need to be for a general healthy person, and I can do everything I need to do in life?
Yeah.
And I had some pretty good answers. I feel like I got some pretty good answers from that. However, it's really not usually the thing we see in there. It's, you see a work to a heavy and it's like, I'm going till I can't do anymore. I'm like, well, that doesn't really make sense. Like, how often do you need to try to pick up 500 pounds on a Sunday morning? Like, not very often. So I'd like to hear what you guys.
Yeah, I think that's a great topic, and I think it's probably its own podcast at some point. But the way I think of it is like a well-rounded fitness more so than like peak strength. And I think most people, when you look at like barbell or dumbbell strength, they're already, if they've been doing this for a couple of years, they're already as strong as they need to be. I think comparing it to body weight is the best way to look at it. Like, can you move your own body weight? Could you deadlift, let's call it 1.5 times your body weight? Could you back squat your body weight? Could you step up half your body weight? But then I look at, well, can you do a strict pull-up or a few of those? Can you do some strict push-ups and a few of those? Could you run a 5K without stopping? Could you, with little to no training, go out and run a half marathon, which I actually think most of our members could, just because they have a great, well-rounded base of fitness. I look more at stuff like that, and I think most people, though, are like, well, they're already at 2 times body weight on a deadlift, and they want to get to 2.5 times for, just an arbitrary reason because it looks cool.
I think a lot of people, I'm kind of like, I feel seasoned. I don't know, 9 years into this, but I feel like a lot of people, their answer would be more than the last time. They're like, I did this before, I've been working hard, so it should be more now.
Yeah.
And I think it has its positives, but it definitely has its drawbacks where it gives people like this kind of false sense of just incremental results infinitely. And as I know from being 9 years into it, and you guys know too, is like you start to level off in a lot of your lifts, and then you start to look for other things to make those lifts like worth it. Like, oh, did I do my deadlifts with my overhand grip, or did I do it with like a really good brace core? Did I not use my belt?
Yeah.
Like, you start to look for these other things that are wins for you because that weight isn't just jumping every time.
It's funny, like, I hear that so much. Being the programmer is like, people think it's like this continuous linear line, and I'm like, you do realize, like, if we progress every time we did the lift by, let's say, 5 pounds, because that's usually what people try to, like, oh, I got a 5-pound PR, which is amazing if you did. If you got a 5-pound PR every time we did it, you guys should be squatting like 1,000 pounds by this point, right? Like, I've squatted so many times in my life, like, I should be squatting well over 2,000 pounds if I'm just going to continually, get this 5-pound PR every time I try to squat. And I look at it way more through the lens that Tony's looking at it, which is mostly on like a snatch or a clean, which is so technique oriented. Like, did it look good? And if it didn't, then I'm not going any higher than whatever that is. Whereas most people, like you said, I did 150 last time, I'm doing 155 regardless this time. Instead of like, I'm gonna do 150, I'm gonna try to get wherever, like, let's say it's 150 again, but this time it looked 10 times better. Like, that's a huge PR. Like, oh, I actually was able to squat snatch this time. Like, good for you. Like, PR in my eyes. And I guarantee, out of all of our coaches, we're gonna give you a high five way harder if it looks, well, post-COVID, we'll give you a high five if it looks better, regardless of what the weight is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I again go into other sports. I'm like, okay, most other sports you peak somewhere between 25 and 35 years old. So if you're like Tony, you're outside that window. Sorry, Tony. If you're like me, you're creeping outside that window. So for me to kind of expect to continue to hit my athletic peak well after my peak athletic years, and not to say we have to become complacent, it changes, it evolves, and we have to realize that most of us are strong enough, fit enough if we've been doing this consistently, and that's really the key to success, is consistency in general health. Cool. Anything else to add?
No, not really.
All right.
Nope.
Thanks for joining, guys. Stay generally healthy.